Okay, are we on? Yes, we're on. Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my BookTube channel. You may have noticed there might be something a little bit different about the quality of this video, and I'm so excited to tell you that my lovely fiance purchased me some actual real live filming equipment for my birthday this year. So thank you so much, Sean, for greatly increasing the production value of my simple little BookTube videos here. So thanks a lot. I know you'll be watching this at some point. So forgive me if I seem a little bit distractible. I have this whole thing where like the little screen that shows what's recording is now sticking out to the side, and it's constantly, ooh, I'm messing it up there. It's constantly refocusing on my face. It doesn't like it when I do that. Hey, there I am. It's me. It's me, Mario. So yeah, it's constantly refocusing on my face, and it is a little bit distracting since I'm not used to like looking directly into the lens. I can kind of get away with gazing at my own lovely self when I do webcam videos. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully the sound and video quality, etc. on these videos is still going to be good while I figure out what to do with all of the settings. So I just wanted to say thank you all so much for your patience. As you know, I have not really been able to film much for the entire month of February. I had some family and friends visiting, and then I was just like feeling really under the weather, feeling really depressed and like gloomy, and I was neither feeling physically nor mentally capable to start filming a bunch of stuff, but I am hoping that I can get back into the swing of things with March. But regardless, I did definitely want to film a February video before the end of the month, just to talk about a few things that I mentioned on my channel, to wrap up some readathons, go over some minor little book haul news, and all of that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the books. So the first thing that I would like to do on the channel is wrap up the Contemporary-a-Thon. This took place in probably like the mid-beginning, early February period. Gosh, it was so long ago, it seems. And I ended up reading 4 books for the Contemporary-a-Thon. One of them was a graphic novel. So the graphic novel was Escape from Syria by Samia Kulab. It was a fictionalized story of a young girl named Amina who grows up in Syria during the current political and military crisis and refugee crisis that is happening there, and it is the story of her and her family as they make their way to a refugee camp in Lebanon and then are eventually resettled in Canada. I thought that this book was a good introduction to the conflict that's going on in Syria, especially for younger readers. If you're at all like informed on what's going on over there, it might be a little too simple for you, but nonetheless, I did think that this was probably primarily useful as a teaching tool, and I did enjoy reading it. I also, for the Contemporary-a-Thon, read The Serpent King by Jeff Sentner. I had kind of mixed feelings about this book. It was a story of 3 teenagers growing up in the South, and they all kind of have their own issues to handle, whether that is, you know, economic insecurity, poverty, abusive parents, feeling like outcasts generally. And I thought that the friendship was the strongest part of the book, which then made a narrative decision that the author made about halfway through the book just not make a lot of sense to me, and I think it kind of ruined the story, unfortunately, because you took something that was a friendship, and then when you remove one component of that like trifecta friendship that makes it so strong, yeah, so I don't know. I ended up thinking that the book was okay. I think I'd recommend it. It is very like trigger warning-y for all of those sorts of things that I mentioned at the beginning. But yeah, not so much. I also had a lukewarm reaction to this book, The Love Letters of Abelard and Lily by Laura Creedle. This is kind of a loosely based off of the love letters of Abelard and Eloise, who were these 2 medieval folks that fell in love, even though theirs was like a forbidden star-crossed love, and they have like an epistolary relationship, which just means that they write letters back and forth to each other. I have read the original book that this is loosely based off of, And this book is an Own Voices ADHD representation. Lily, the main girl who's like our narrator, has ADHD. She's in high school, and she falls in love with Abelard, who is autistic, I believe. It's never explicitly stated like what his mental diagnosis is, but it is, yeah, he's autistic. Unfortunately, I also thought that this book fell into a lot of common tropes that I find with contemporaries, where I felt that the love story was a little too instantaneous for me. They sort of just kind of see each other behind a wall and then Lily decides, oh, like, I'm in love with this guy, and that kind of made the love story a little bit less believable for me, but it was still an enjoyable read. I'm glad I read it. And then finally, for the Contemporary-a-Thon, I read Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. This, again, is a loose retelling of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I kind of wish I would have known just how loose a retelling it was. So I would have ended up with this book anyway, because it came in Owl Crate, I believe, in December. Yeah, it was the December Owl Crate pick, which is why it has this cover. The regular in-store cover looks a little bit different. But I wish I would have known how loose a retelling this was going to be, because that just didn't end up really being a big part of the book. And I kind of thought that maybe I would get a little bit more Shakespeare and a little bit less of the high school story. I thought the high school story part was okay. Again, like fairly standard, average contemporary story. It did also get billed as having like, oh, this is like a queer reimagining of this. It's not really. There's like two characters that are lesbians or like otherwise loving women, but that is just like so not a part of this book at all, that I think that to say that it's a book that is like a queer retelling of Midsummer Night's Dream is actually somewhat misleading. Like, yes, there are some characters that are queer, but that's not like really an important part of the story. It was more just like, yep, they're there, that's it. So I don't think that was like the fault of the author for misrepresenting it, but I have heard it billed as like a queer retelling elsewhere, and I just wanted to clarify that is a very minor part of the book. But again, still enjoyable. I felt kind of tepid about all of these Contemporary-a-Thon books, I suppose, but the read-a-thon was fun. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed getting the chance to just sort of read a genre that isn't usually my top choice. Okay, so, all right, next thing. Ooh, oh, it's like focusing over here. Hi, hello. Next thing I wanted to talk to you all about is a couple of books that I received as gifts. So, as you know, my birthday was this month. It was the 22nd. Hooray, I'm now leaving my early 20s behind forever. I'm firmly shackled to the bonds of being an adult. Wow, this is a really rambly video, and I am running out of time, so I need to not do that. So I would like to talk about a couple books that I received as gifts. The first one was from my friend Adam, and this is The Blue Flower by Penelope Fitzgerald. I have read this book already. I actually recently completed my reread of it, and I love it as much now as I did then. This book, excuse me, burp. This book is actually the thing that sort of sparked our friendship in the first place, because we were both the only person the other person knew that had even read this. It is a story about Friedrich von Hardenberg, who would later become known as the Romantic poet and philosopher Novalis. That's like capital R, romantic, as in German Romanticism, the Romantic movement, etc. And this is kind of a story of his youth and growing up and falling in love with this young girl, Sophie von Kuhn. And she is like 12 years old, and no one really understands what he sees in her, because he is an adult. He's a young adult, but an adult nevertheless. And he believes that she is like his true philosophy and his guardian spirit, and everyone is like, she is simple, she is in no way your intellectual equal, what on earth do you see in her, she's not even a great beauty, etc., etc. That's kind of the story of their relationship. I don't know if you can really call it love, because Sophie's kind of just more amused by him and entertained by him than in love with him, I guess you could say. And it is just the story of their life together until she unfortunately dies of tuberculosis shortly after her 15th birthday. This is a book that I know a lot of people have divisive opinions on, especially because of the like weird age difference in the relationship between the two. I don't really want to talk about that right now. I just want to say, like, yes, that's how it happened in history. This is just what we have, and I really like the way that Penelope Fitzgerald puts like the seed of Novalis, the romantic poet, into the story of the young von Hardenberg. Another book I received as a gift this month, which I have been wanting to read, is The Prince and the Dressmaker. This is a graphic novel by Jen Wang, and I just really am excited to read this. This was a gift from my friend Dahlia, so thank you very much. And I will go ahead and read you the blurb so you can get an idea of what this is about. Prince Sebastian is looking for a bride, or rather his parents are looking for one for him. Sebastian is too busy hiding his secret life from everyone. At night, he puts on daring dresses and takes Paris by storm as the fabulous Lady Crystalia, the hottest fashion icon in the world capital of fashion. Sebastian's secret weapon is his brilliant dressmaker, Francis, his best friend and one of only 2 people who know the truth. Sometimes this boy wears dresses. But Francis dreams of greatness, and being someone's secret weapon means being a secret forever. How long can Francis defer her dreams to protect her friend? Jen Wang weaves an exuberantly romantic tale of identity, young love, art, and family. A fairy tale for any age, The Princess and the Dressmaker will steal your heart. Does that not sound like the most incredible story you've ever heard? I love reading graphic novels. I actually read more graphic novels than books this month. It was just sort of what I was in the mood to read, what I had the time and energy to read, especially with not feeling well. It doesn't require that much of an attention span to get through a book or a chapter. I can just like read a few pages, pick it up later. I love graphic novels. I need to start making more videos about them. Hopefully I will be able to review this book and that will inspire me. On to the next thing. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video were some books that I hauled from Bookish subscription boxes. So this month my final Owl Crate came, and the book, as I'm sure you've probably seen in various different unboxings, was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I adore the cover for this. The regular cover, so you can see how it's like metallic. Oh god, it's so gorgeous. I know the lighting is tricky to see, but I hope you can see it on the film. This cover is gorgeous, and look at these end papers. Oh my freaking goodness. Beauty. Beauty all around us. So I'm sure that you've heard about this book. This is about dark fairy tales and sort of family secrets. It's been very hyped and talked about pretty much everywhere books are discussed, so I won't go into that too much. But yeah, this was my final Owl Crate that I received. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but honestly, like, aside from the books, there just seemed like there was a lot of stuff in the boxes that I didn't really need, and I felt like that meant I was just overpaying for the book, because there would maybe be like 1 or 2 bookish items in the box that I liked, but I don't know, I couldn't really justify continuing to spend $35 a month on it for a book, and then some things I liked and some things I didn't, especially since I know myself, I would just go out and spend money on those bookish things that I liked anyway. So, Owl Crate, good stuff, but not for me for a long extended period of time. And the last thing I would like to talk about is my Book of the Month box. So I have been doing, I'm gonna open it while I talk to you, so pardon the noise. Pocket knife, useful for opening things. So I've been doing Book of the Month for, we must be coming up on a year soon, again, because I was recommended to do it by my friend Dahlia, who also loves books and thought that it would be something that I would enjoy. And this month, I did go a little overboard. I got 3 books. Let me go ahead and open this shrink wrap here, and I will begin to tell you about them. So the way that this works is you pick out your book that is selected for the month. I believe you get to pick from 5 books. And the one that I picked for this month was, oh, it got smushed in the box. That's a shame. was The Philosopher's Flight by Tom Miller. Half science, half magic, entirely fantastic. This seems to be a riff on the sort of magic school trope. It sounds kind of like similarly gender swapped, though, so it is about a boy that is going to a school of all-female magicians, and magicianship is more of a female thing in this world than a male thing. Not sure how I feel about that being written by a man, but we shall see. It just raises my feminist brow a little bit. So I'll go ahead and read you the blurb for this. 18-year-old Robert Weeks is one of the few men who practice empirical philosophy, an arcane, female-dominated branch of science used to summon the wind, heal the injured, and even fly. He's always dreamed of being the first man to join the U.S. Sigilry Corps' Rescue and Evacuation Department, an elite team of flying medics. But everyone knows that's impossible. Men can barely even get off the ground. When a violent tragedy puts Robert's philosophical abilities to the test, he rises to the occasion and wins a scholarship to study philosophy at Radcliffe College, an all-women's school. At Radcliffe, Robert hones his flying skills and strives to win the respect of his classmates, a host of formidable and unruly women. Robert falls hard for Danielle Hardin, a disillusioned young hero of the Great War turned political radical. But Danielle's activism and Robert's recklessness attract the attention of the same fanatical anti-philosophical group that Robert's mother fought against decades before. With their lives in mounting danger, Robert and Danielle band together with a team of unlikely heroes to fight for Robert's place among the next generation of empirical philosophers, and for philosophy's very survival against the men who would destroy it. Yes, please. Historical magicians are my jam. I freaking love them. I should probably do a whole video about that, so remind yourself, future Anna, do a video about historical magicians and how much you love them, because they are phenomenal. And then I got 2 extra books from previous months as add-ons. Ooh, they sent me this little bookmark as well. It says Book of the Month, and it has little snowflakes on it. How cute. The next one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Again, this has been talked about a lot on BookTube, so I won't go into it until I end up telling you all what my thoughts about the book were. And also, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know too much about this book, except that it appears Evelyn Hugo, the eponymous Evelyn, is the bisexual hero that I need in my literature. So pretty much that's enough to get me to buy your book if I hear that it's like a bisexual character. It's remarkably easy. That's like my queer catnip. Okay. So, those are all of the things that I wanted to talk to you about this time. Comment down below if you have any thoughts about the books that I shared. Let's just get our conversation going like usual. You all are pretty great about comments, and I hope to be posting more frequently and good content very soon, so you can expect more of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!